All right. Hello, Flitterific listeners. Today I'm joined by Dorian Steel. And Dorian can tell us a lot more about, in particular, psychopathy. So, how have you been doing?
I mean, I've been doing well. I've just enjoyed actually finishing reading the paper that you wrote about me.
Oh,
Um, university's going well, and yeah, I'm more on the up. I find it the more I stick to my responsibilities, the more I'm on the up. So I'm sticking to that. But I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
yeah, cool. That would have been my next question. Yeah, it's like in very interesting times. I have a lot of very emotional conversations with some friends right now. Um, some of them have, some of them used to have personality disorders, so there's always something going on. Um, yeah, but yeah, this next question would have been like exactly how your degree is going and like what like has drawn you into that field in the first place.
Well, at the moment, I'm on my second semester of learning. We've just finished the first one, so now I'm on the second semester. We're studying developmental, clinical, and investigative psychology. So we're still going with. I've got classes as well for biological psychology and research methodology. I like research methodology a lot, but yeah, that's how that's going. And
Hmm.
so you asked me something else as well.
Yeah, what drew you into that field? And in particular, I suppose why research methodology is your favorite?
Yeah, well, what drew me into psychology, it was
Yeah.
after, I mean, it sort of happened without realizing. I got, so years ago when I'm 25 now, but when I was early 22, I started to suspect that there was something amiss with me. And, I went down a rabbit hole, educated myself, and then eventually, months down the line, after a psych eval, I got diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. And then from then on, I just started learning about psychology in general. And I was a blue collar worker at a factory in a food production environment. And obviously, I think anybody who knows that sort of work, it's not the most intellectually stimulating of work. So it took about 2 years and some kind words from a couple of professionals who put the sort of seed into my head about me maybe pursuing higher education. So I applied for 3 universities. I got knocked back by two of them, but my last one, which was the best choice, they accepted me in. So I'm really happy about it. But it's just I realised, all I do is read up on psychology, and it just became this sort of obsession. And I realized, I'm very smart. I could make a good career out of this. So that's what's led me there. But I've needed a nudge. I've needed a nudge. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
I can
good.
empathize with that. Finding psychology very thrilling myself. Yeah, like you've also been very open about like your experiences and like your whole backstory, and you have your own YouTube channel where you also share a lot of stories and details. And yeah, like what like motivated you to be so open and public about it?
I mean, there comes a time. I think everybody wants to tell their story in one way or another. And, for me, originally the idea to start a YouTube channel, again, it was suggested to me. I've had things suggested to me like that I should write a book about my life and the things I've done. But yeah, but a YouTube channel was the way to go. And I wanted to do it since I mean, I thought of the idea back when I was working in the factory, but I didn't want any of my, fellow workers to find out. So I always held back on the idea, and I waited until I left the place and started at university. But yeah, it's called The Picture of Dorian Steel, and it's going very well. Actually, I just did a video that I think it's got 1,200 views at this time, and yeah, I've only just started last year in September. Yeah, I just tell stories, like you said, give my thoughts, perceptions on various ideas, concepts, things about myself or about other things in the world, and yeah, I paint a picture of myself essentially.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. What's different between the people that you're studying with now and like the fellow factory workers that back then you didn't want to start the channel and now you do?
Difference. I mean, I've got a lot more in common with the people in my class. Obviously, we're all
Hmm.
interested in the same thing. The factory where I was, though, it was a very volatile kind of place at the time. Very very poor communication between all levels of staff. Yeah, seen a couple of people who couldn't handle it.
Hmm.
But you've got to do what you've got to do. You've got to pay the rent. Don't get me wrong. There was a few good people in there. There was a few good eggs that I generally did like and that I did get on with. Um,
Hmm.
or it's just like anywhere you go in life, really. But it was very. You've got to be fit to.
Hmm.
You've got to be fit to work in that factory, especially where I came from. A lot of heavy lifting, things like that. But I just used to tell myself it's an extra workout that I'm getting paid for.
Yeah.
That's how you get through that kind of job. But there's people who've been there for over it's like 20 years, 30 years, most of their life, and I just thought, no, I've got to do something else other than this. And
Hmm.
so I owe it a lot, really, to my diagnosis and to psychology as a whole, as a science, for getting me out of it.
Yeah, totally. Like, well, at least the people who do that for 20 years, they must be jacked by now.
Yeah, some of them, but yeah, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be out.
Yeah. The other person who like wanted to tell her story, Jamie or Emmy Thomas, like you're also really good friends with. Like how did you meet? Like how did this what is this friendship like and how did it happen in the first place?
It happened. I can't remember exactly how, but I found out that because bear in mind, I first discovered her when I was self-diagnosing. That was when I first saw a thing of her interviews with. I know the company's under a different name now, but back then it was a YouTube channel called Psychopathy is, and they do
Hmm.
non-profit research, I think, into individuals with psychopathy. And so I saw Jamie's interviews on there, and then one way or another, I found out that she had a Discord, and I think somebody put a message in her server one day saying, "Oh, Ted, you should do an interview," and I said, "Oh, if I'm lucky, she'll ask." And then Jamie herself responded saying, "Well, we'll set up a date. Let's do it." And if I think we've done 5 appearances together on her show, and we've ended up meeting up in person. We went on holiday together last year
Yeah.
in Windermere, and me, her, and her partner called Aria.
Hmm.
It was just nothing but good times. I've still got our pictures, blue tacked to my wardrobe.
Hmm. Yeah, like actually between Jamie and Arya, like in terms of your like particular psychology, who do you think you're more similar to?
Oh, Aria, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
Jamie's. I think Jamie's described herself as sort of kind of a milk stool. She's got the antisocial traits. She's autistic as well. I think she's got autism or traits at least, and an obsessive compulsive disorder maybe. But Aria, her partner, is very much the same as me. Very strong in antisocial and narcissistic personality disorder traits. And it's weird. Her girlfriend is like me, but as a little blonde American girl. That is the way to describe her.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to like watch some videos with her as well at some point.
Yeah.
Um, if like you have only like a couple minutes, like 5 minutes or so, to like describe what you want other people to know about you, like what would you tell them? What would you focus on?
I'd say I've come a long way. I've come a long way. Like I said, I'm much more responsible now for the most part. Back when I was younger, like in school, even as a teenager and as an adult, if you asked me what I wanted to do with my life, I never had an answer. No real sort of sense of responsibility towards myself. Now I have a plan for life and future goals and principles and, regimes that I stick to. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of strength training. I do a lot of writing. I'm creating. I've got a creative hobby. I'm doing YouTube now. So I'm keeping myself busy with good things. And, it's all looking up from here.
Hmm. Yeah, cool. Where does the motivation come from to make those changes?
To really start taking like things like fitness seriously and healthy habits. It started years ago. I just sort of had a switch in my head flick. I was what you'd call like a skinhead for 5 years since I was a teenager, and that was very tumultuous at times, as you can imagine. And then 5 years into it, I just turned 22, and I just thought I looked at myself one day and I thought, this isn't doing it anything for me anymore. So
Hmm.
I snapped out of it. I grew my hair out, and I haven't regretted it in a day. But I like making progress in something as well. Like I'm extremely. I know I don't particularly look it, but I'm extremely physically fit. I'm healthy. I noticed as well. Like I've just had my appendix took out a few weeks ago, and the doctors were saying, "Oh, you're going to need these pills, that pills." They tried to give me codeine, even though I told them that I've had previous substance abuse issues with
Hmm.
opioids and all manner of hard drugs. So I refused all my medication. They've said to me, "Don't work out for the next 6 weeks," and I've already started again. And taking care of yourself, it'll benefit you. So, but it's all about keeping myself rewarded. I've got to be getting some sort of reward from whatever it is I'm doing. But and it's
Hmm.
nice as well staying out of trouble. I'll tell you that much. It's nice knowing that I'm just being responsible and good now. Bit more pro-social, kind of like Jamie.
Yeah. Um, can you already tell if like your life is like sort of a sequence of phases like that?
Yeah,
And like imagine you do like a bachelor's, master's or something, or a PhD in psychology,
yeah.
and like that chapter like ends at some point naturally or whatever. What like the next step would be for you?
After getting so at the moment I'm doing my bachelor's degree with honours, and then after that it'll be a master's degree, and then to top it all off, because I want to be Dr. Dorian Steel. I want to have doctor before my name, so I'll be doing my PhD in psychology. And once I've done that, I think I'd like to go on the NHS as a diagnostician for a few years.
Hmm.
And who knows, maybe even work with some of the people who diagnosed me. I remember some of them. I remember Nurse Anna, and I remember the head doctor as well of the department. And they were all really. I remember leaving thinking, wow, like they were very professional, and I sort of admiring them.
Hmm.
So I'd want to do that for a couple of years, and then probably work in inpatient facilities would be the end goal. I'm not sure about being a therapist though, but definitely working
Hmm.
at either a hospital or an inpatient facility.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, those are also some things that I would find interesting. Um, yeah, so like part of the current reset in your life is also like a shift toward Christianity in particular. So that's something I found very interesting. How did that come about? Do you see like you have a few different versions of the Bible behind you?
Yes, that's right. It happened really. I was alone in my bedroom one night, and I see, it's hard to put a word on it, but I just had an internal shift, sort of this internal experience in myself, and I've heard other Christians describe it, and it was just like I knew I had to admit and confront, well, not confront, but admit the fact that there was a God. And so I started reading the Bible every day. I started writing scripture every day as well. Anything that I read that stuck out to me. I've still got my pad in my bedroom, and it's just like pages and pages and pages of the Bible. And I did go to church. I went to church. I think it was about 2 or 3 months into being a Christian, and the church was good for a while. I even got baptized there, and but there was I had a disagreement with the pastor on their policy regarding sex offenders being allowed to participate in the congregation, and yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, and so I just left. Now what I do occasionally is, so I'm what you'd call an evangelical Christian, somebody like Billy Graham, that kind of line of faith. But my dad is a Jehovah's Witness, so I'll go to one of the local Kingdom halls with my dad occasionally on a Sunday, and they're very welcoming of me. They know I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, and that we I don't agree with them on everything, but that's as good as it gets for me in terms of worship with other people. But I still like to do my own thing in general, but that's always been me. I'd just rather be on my own.
Yeah, when I wanted the religion, I also created my own. Yeah.
Right.
But like, what did it feel like to realize, or I don't know, acknowledge what the word was that you used, that there is a God? Like, was it like a feeling, or was it like a logical conclusion that you arrived at? Or
No, it was a feeling. I'll never forget it. I was very. I think I was out of work. I had like no money, nothing. I was at the lowest of the low. Um, Not stressed, but definitely like always thinking about things. And but it was a feeling. It was slightly. I think it was slightly nervous, but I remember I said a prayer. I just said a short, like a one sentence prayer to myself, and it's just when I went outside the next day, it was just like everything looked different and felt different. It's just really indescribable. I've never really been able to speak in too much detail about it, but it was just like it was an internal physical feeling, like an internal shift. Um, but I'm always in that state of, I think, what we'd call wrestling in the flesh, and really wrestling with myself at times. And yeah, but it was an internal feeling.
uh-huh. So you prayed for something? Was that related? Like, did you pray for something and then that uh like came true the next day in the form of this sh
It,
internal shift, or?
it wasn't a wish. It wasn't like I want a new car, or I want a new or a wife or whatever. I wasn't like asking. I wasn't asking for something, but I was lying in bed, and I closed my hands together, and I closed my eyes, and I said, "Okay, God, you're real. I believe you," and that was it. But yeah, I haven't. Again, being out of church has affected that a lot. Because I do think you need a good church behind you, but the church is its own worst enemy. So
Mhm.
it's a toughie, but yeah.
Can you try to describe more what the difference was like before that shift and after that shift in your like perception of yourself and the world?
Before, oh well, in terms of behaviour, that did a very much a 360. Like I said, I was unemployed, so I was. How do I word this? I was earning money out of employment, let's say, and I was making ends meet in other ways, and I was extremely you. I don't know what the correct word is, but very objective of people, in the sense that people they were just literally objects to be used and manipulated for my purposes. And yeah, it was just absolutely my life started a 360. I wasn't really dressed that smart. I started dressing smart, taking myself seriously, getting up at 6 in the morning to work out, getting healthy hobbies, and trying to be a healthy, good Christian as best as I can. That hasn't always been the case, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I know I'm not. As much as my brain might like to tell me it's not.
Yeah, but that's A cool shift, and that it happened so suddenly is also impressive.
Yeah, yeah, it was just like at the snap of the fingers.
Yeah, I could imagine like someone sort of gradually developing over the course of a couple years in that direction, and then at some point like trying to remember what it like was like before and making a similar comparison, but having that like from one day to the next is stark.
Yeah, it was very late. I remember it fairly well. It was very late at night, and it was just it was pitch black, and I was in bed. But yeah, I'll never forget it. And then I got so I used to have. You probably can't see it. I used to have because I was a skinhead when I was young. So I had
Mhm.
skinhead across my throat, and the next day I went and got it covered up with that. And well, yeah, I couldn't walk around with that anymore. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was just like things started to change and things started to go better because I put my faith in a higher power, and
Mhm.
it really it's the best decision that you'll ever make. It really is.
Mhm. Yeah, cool. You just touched on some tattoos. I'd be quite interested. Like, whether there are any other like stories behind any of the tattoos that you want to talk about?
I've got a funny one. So that one there, the barbed wire on my forehead, that was an impulse. I'd won money on betting on horses. I used to go out. It's not there anymore, but there used to be an old betting shop near where I live, and it's since closed down. But I went in there
Mm.
and I think I bet like a couple of pound on a horse that was like 100 to 1 or 200 to 1, something ridiculous, and it won. So I took the money and I just went straight to the tattoo studio where I used to go, and I just said I want this doing, and we got it done. But so that some of them are very impulsive, but I've never regretted any of them per se. But it's just one of them. It's a big thing to do with skinheads, tattoos. So that's what it was all about, looking tough and all of that. But they're just there now, and uh, I don't they don't mean anything to me.
Hmm. Yeah. What would it feel like for you anyway to regret something?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, regret's always been it's a sort of a I don't know. I mean, all right. I mean, I know this isn't true, but in my head, it sounds stupid. Like, why would you sit around regretting something? What's that gonna, what are you gonna get out of that? I no, I don't think I've ever felt regret. Maybe once or twice in the moment, I've gone, oh yeah, maybe I could have gotten more if I, chose option A instead of B or what have you. But
Mm.
actual deep felt regret. No, I've never had it. I can't really because I can't even really talk about it. I just don't have any experience with it. So
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, the second section of the question starts with this question about this interesting glass box or plexiglass box that you've used as a metaphor for how you described like your relationship with like environment, world, other people, or something like that. I'd be quite interested in learning more about that, whether that is something that relates to like the previous version of you more than it does to the current version, or whether this is something that has been constant, or yeah, and what this feels like in the first place.
yeah, it's just the way that I think it's more. It's not a representation of what of a feeling, but it's just more what I don't feel. If that makes sense. It's
Mhm.
always been there. It's always been the same. I've just never truly felt connected to humanity as a whole. It's just not
Mhm.
something that I've ever done. Like people are people and they're there, but yeah, they're always like a little bit different in a way, and I just don't identify with 99% of them. But I'm not particularly uncomfortable in my proverbial glass box. I'm very much fine in it, but
Mhm.
that's how I see things.
Yeah, so like my next question would have been like whether it feels of whether like you feel more like isolated or trapped or protected by this box.
Neither. I mean, I don't feel loneliness because I have no innate desire for human connection. So I can't feel lonely. If I want to
Mm,
know if I'm lonely or not, then I have to go through a sort of, a point of criteria. I'm like, right, yeah, like I don't have any friends. I spend a lot of time on my own, therefore I'm lonely. I don't have a feeling to tell me that I'm
yeah.
lonely or isolated from anyone because I don't feel
Mm,
it, so I'm not. But it's not about feeling protected either. It's, well, maybe protected from other people's feelings to a degree. But
hmm.
I've been known to sort of get angry quite quickly if somebody else cries. I don't like.
Mm,
I don't really like other people's tears.
mm. Yeah, that's an interesting one because um, when I get angry, or like for the longest time, it's not that much anymore, but when I get angry, I usually don't notice it. I just notice that I start to have a bit of sort of passive aggressive intuitions that I usually don't have, and then I wonder what's going on. But it didn't used to be, this has changed, but I didn't used to be in touch with that feeling. So I wonder whether that's similar with the loneliness, that there is something going on that bothers you in some subtle way, but you're not directly in touch with the feeling.
Yeah, it's just not something that I have. Loneliness, anger. However, I'm very much in touch with my anger.
Hmm.
That comes on very quickly, very suddenly, very in vast amounts. I've been known to, fight or attack people because of my anger, throw
Hmm.
people out of my life because of my anger.
Hmm.
There's really no telling what would truly happen. So that's why I try my best to avoid like people who annoy me. I'll avoid them. Try and avoid as many triggers as possible. It's kind of something that you
Hmm.
have to do when you're highly psychopathic. If you want to lead a good life, like I don't want to go to prison because I know that I'll just be angry all the time and probably very paranoid as well.
Hmm.
But anger,
Hmm.
yeah, the only main emotion that I'm really in touch with is anger, I'd say. Um, Not really, don't have any pro-social emotions. I can't feel happy for someone. Kind of sounds silly, even like saying that as a sentence. Like, why would I feel happy for somebody else? Can't they just feel happy and get on with it? Uh, yeah, so that encompasses a large amount of my emotional range. Um, I can be friendly, I can talk and like I like to have a laugh. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't think laughing is an emotion, but I can. I've got a good sense of humor.
Hmm. Yeah, but you just touched on something that I find very interesting, that you try to emotionally regulate by surrounding yourself with the sorts of people who like bring out the best in you rather than the anger.
Yeah,
And that is something that I've also seen from a bunch of friends of mine. Like most of my friends just seem to have sort of an internal feeling of control, as if they were able to like control in some fashion. Maybe they can do that in some form. How they want to react to their environment, whereas others rely much more, and I think everyone does a bit of both, but like others do a lot more of this self-regulation through changing their environment. Like there's this one person who told me that she told her son that when she's getting like abusive, the son should call the police so that the police can rein her in. And it's like she just didn't it wasn't used to being able to do that herself, but like clearly wanted to. So yeah, these it's like an interesting contrast for me. So, like, do you do both? Do you like some kind of internal regulation and this external regulation, or is it for you more that you try to rely on these external factors?
I'm very, I'm very good at a whole. I'm very good at compartmentalizing my emotions. Or any feelings that I do feel. I'm very good at putting, the ones I need in a box or kind of tucked away so that you might not see it. That's always been something that I've been very good at.
Mm,
But yeah, managing my environment is just as important to me because one of the key needs, I'd say, yeah, one of the key needs of somebody with psychopathy is that you have to always be in control of everything. So you have to be in control of, not just your environment, but that means also like the people within it. You have to be in control of outcomes, doing what you want to do. It spreads into, like relationships. It spreads into every facet of your life. That dominant need for control and power over everyone and everything. So they're both just as important. But that's probably part of where my ability to compartmentalize my feelings sort of stems from, because I have to, otherwise I'm not in control.
Yeah, like this control thing is also interesting. Like, what makes it so important?
I don't know. It's just in me.
Mm-hmm. And like, what would it feel?
It's just the nature of who I am. I mean, what else would I do? I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, what would it feel like to like not have control, but like in some harmless way, like nothing bad happens?
If I'm not affected in any way, I mean, maybe my pride will still be hurt momentarily, but if there's no massive like real world fallout or consequences, then in a few seconds I'll probably just not care and move on.
Hmm.
I won't linger.
Yeah. Yeah, you had this interesting anecdote that probably goes a bit in this direction where you were like in jail or something, and you probably didn't feel quite the same level of control as usual, but like managed to like wrest back a bit of that by like shaking the hand of a policeman outside the cell.
Yeah,
Um,
that was when I was in custody, not like jail, prison, but like custody jail. So where you're taken
mhm,
after you're arrested. I was arrested. It was my last arrest when I was 22, I think, or 23 actually, and it was for allegedly attempting to smuggle a firearm into the country with
mhm,
ammunition and a couple of other charges to do with illegal weapons that were found in my flat. And so I got brought in for questioning. And to be honest, both times I've been in custody, I've loved it because it's just like a game of Monopoly, really. And well, to me it is at least. But some people like really can't handle it, and they're breakdowns, and you hear
mhm,
them. But not me. I'll go in. I'll do my push ups. I'll do my sit ups. Against opposite the wall. I'll get some food in my belly because you can get a meal whilst you're in there, and I'll just have a nap and then rinse and repeat until it's time for my interview. But yeah, the last time I was in there, it was when I was getting led back to my cell after questioning. I stuck my hand out through the hatch in the cell door, which like obviously you're not supposed to do, and because you could be trying to attack an officer or anything. But I got this DC, this detective, to actually shake my hand through the hatch,
mhm,
and yeah, it was just fun knowing that I could have broken his hand or I could have broken his fingers, and having that power of that person even for a couple of seconds,
mhm,
that's just a thrill for me.
mhm. So like, does it feel feel more like a type of stoicism that you can make the best of those situations, or does it feel more like indifference, or I don't know, what feeling would you describe and was like dominant there?
The feeling is like it's power, it's ego. It's just like in my head, I just feel powerful and I feel it in my body.
Mm,
Probably maybe some adrenaline there in small amounts, but it's just in my mind. It's like, yeah, I'm in control. I made you do something, and when I want
mm,
you to do something, you're going to do it, and that's just a way of regaining power and control in that situation.
mm. Yeah, and generally, like this whole arrest situation, since like they are taking some kind of power away from you at first, like I imagine that like you rather feel like it's a game and
A little
you
bit
like
at
make
first, yeah, a little bit at first it did. And the thing is as well, so I'm registered as like a violent offender or a violent male with the local police due to past
Mhm.
instances. So if you like, if somebody says, oh, if you call the police and say, oh, I've seen that Dorian is on the street doing X, Y, Z, they check that name, and then everything's got codes for them. It would be like a code A or B or whatever. The same thing goes for like people who are done for like domestic violence, sex offenders, all of that. But I'm registered as a violent male. So what happens is if the police have got a warrant for my arrest, they have to turn up with they're called Mariah vans, the big yellow vans, and they've got like they're normally used for riots, and they've got those big shields, the grates that come down over the windshield, and that'll have like riot gear in it, like shields and batons, and then normally it'll have like three male officers will come out, and then they'll come and get me. So it makes a bit of a scene, do you know what I mean? Because people see, But so at first I didn't like it, and then it was a bit of a long drive back to the station. I asked them, I said, "Don't you ever pull on the radio?" And they were like, "No, we don't. But they said, "No, we don't, because we've got to be on the police radio all the time." But it
Mm.
is what it is. You just got to play the game.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, thanks. I think that basically concludes the glass box section, but um, there's also like this quote that you felt like you were slipped into a particular skin suit with regard to like your body and personality and all sorts of other attributes. And do you like what to what extent do you like actually identify with yourself now, with like your body, brain, personality, mind, and everything? Or to what extent do you feel like you're just operating it like a vehicle?
No, I have a lot more of I feel more like a person now, I'd say, than back then. Um, but yeah, it's less like I'm operating a vehicle, but it's me, and I haven't got any qualms about being me. I'm very happy with the person I am, and I always will be.
Hmm. How have you grown into yourself, as it were?
Truly, I honestly, I think again, being responsible and being healthy, it'll do those things for you. Really, and I owe it all to that, to my hard efforts. But it's just there's no particular method. I think there's no particular the right way or the wrong way. There's just the way that you need to do it. I know a lot of people really do feel distant from themselves, but that's not me anymore. I think a big part of that is that the fact that I'm doing something that I want for a living now, with being in higher education. I reckon that probably has played a significant role.
Yeah, interesting. I would imagine that that increased identification also
Mm.
comes with yeah, I don't know, like what does aging, for example, feel like for you? Has that become like something you think about more now that you identify more with your body, as it were?
I don't think about aging. I mean, I don't even celebrate my birthday because I
Hmm.
don't. Yeah, a lot of people, who have got NPD or who are narcissistic, they obviously will celebrate their birthdays because it's their day. But that's never been me. I think like since the age of maybe 17, 18, I've just never felt any connection to it.
Hmm.
Um, I don't mind celebrating somebody else's birthday. I don't mind if you want me there at your birthday party. Sure, I'll come and we'll celebrate it. But I just don't
Hmm.
feel. I just don't see my own birthday as important. I'm like, oh yeah, today I'm 25 now. I turned 25 in November, but it's not. It's not a reason to get a cake.
Okay, your birthday's also in November. Interesting. So is mine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like one thing that I've been wondering about is grandiose behaviors seem to tend to evoke different reactions in different cultures. I would imagine this not only varies by country, but probably also by like the particular social context within the country. Did you observe like in what context it works better and in what context it's like leads to resistance or I don't know.
Do you see, the thing is with me, I was never aware of how grandiose I came across as. But
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until it was pointed out to me by, I think it was first it was my father. My dad said to me once, and he said, "You act like you're the only person who deserves to be thought about." And I mean, in my head, I'm like, "Do I act like that?" You know, and I know that I think like that a lot of the time, but
Mm-hmm.
I never realized that I acted like it. But apparently, when it comes out in heaps and waves. I had an old therapist once tell me, she said, "You sit like you're better than me," and it's like all I'm doing is sitting. But apparently, it's just the body language. It's good. I'll tell you where it served me well recently is in university. I'm very, I've had people come up to me and they go like, "Do you ever get nervous about anything?" They're like, "Oh yeah, like you're pretty confident, aren't you?" And I am. But I was just voted class representative at my uni. Voted unanimously as well. So it puts in the right people. They'll put their faith in you a lot. But some people they really won't like it, and they'll go like, "Yeah, who does this guy think he is?" But
Mm-hmm.
you get a lot of different reactions. But generally, I've been told that I come across as polite, intelligent. I always mind my P's and Q's, especially around women. So yeah, but apparently it can seep out eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would I want to like practice my grandiosity? What environments do I need to avoid?
I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. Half the
No.
time, I don't realize when I'm doing it.
Uh, yeah, like different question, like are you usually quite consistent in like your behavior and personality, how you interact with people across contexts, or do you behave differently with like say a probation officer and your son and Jamie?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, massively. I mean, my son, it's just all about having good times with him. Going to the park, going to the movies, and just he likes to fight me all the time. So he gets to punch me in the face a lot, and he loves it. It's great. But for somebody like a probation officer, I've never really liked a lot of them because again, they're always a probation officer, somebody who's got their thumb over you like
Mm,
for a whole year. So I've had a history of a lot of it. It's like recycling. I get a new probation officer because they all didn't want to deal with me. But that's a lot more of it. Like being with my son, that's not a power game necessarily because it's my
mm,
5-year-old son, and he respects me anyway because I'm his dad. So
mm.
that's just not a thing. But somebody like a police officer, probation officer, yeah, of course it's very different.
Yeah, with Jamie?
We're just friends.
Hmm.
It's quite simple. We message each other occasionally, and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, interesting. I think I heard in some interview that one of your probation officer, or maybe like, I don't know, someone related to that whole, I don't know, business, was like actually like a really highly qualified expert, well-known expert in the field. And am I remembering this correctly?
Kind of. He's got a. He's not like a well. I wouldn't say he's a well-known expert. He's a prison psychologist. So he was brought. Just to explain for people who are watching, you've got it's His Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, and then that goes into two. You've got the prison service and the probation service, and a lot of the time what happens is when they get like criminal offenders like myself who are, they could have a personality disorder or something else going on. They could be really difficult and non-compliant, like I was. And so they'll get a psychologist from the prison service and they'll bring them in to
Mm,
help out with that. And that's what happened with me because the thing is now with probation, you've got to declare all your, like it used to be, you just gave them your name, your email, your name, your address, your phone number, and I think your email address as well. But now, in recent times, you have to declare all of your social media accounts with probation. So you have to give them like your YouTube, again, your email or like your Instagram, even like old social media accounts that you don't use anymore. You have to fish around and you've got to find all of them, because if you haven't declared everything, then you risk going back up for resentencing. But yeah, and at the time, I didn't have a YouTube channel or anything obvious, but I had my Instagram blog, which I've still got, and where I write about living with psychopathy. And
Mm.
so they found that, and then they all said, oh, "I'm not working with him, no way." And so that's why they got his name. His name's Matthew, the
Mm.
psychologist. They brought him in, and he done work. He done work with like a pretty high profile prisoners, but he's based in a prison in Liverpool. But they brought him down to probation, and I actually ended up really liking him in the end. But at
Mm.
first, no, I hated him, absolutely hated him. And the first time I saw him, he said, "Oh, I can only speak to you for 10 minutes," and I kept him in the interview room for over an hour. I just play mind games with him, get funny looks, look at his forehead and look back down. Any little trick in the book just to sort of put him off at ease and let him know I'm in charge. But eventually that fizzled down, and I actually grew to respect the guy in the end. I mean, it took time, but he was really good, and they ended up doing it where with my meetings, because I had to be seen every week. And he would bring in like an extra probation officer. People who were training to be POs. They'd bring like one or two of them in the interview room each week, and they would just observe me and Matthew talking, and we did talking therapy. He was the one who administered the hair psychopathy checklist on myself, and because he's a PO, he's got access to all those old previous arrest history records, all of that, and yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, cool. Um, did that feel different to have like sort of the end of your interactions when you respected him? Did that feel different from like some previous ones that you didn't come to respect like that?
It's just going to probation. It's just, I mean, I didn't like being on. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was an all right guy, but I still didn't like being on probation. The
Mm.
best feeling was when it was over, and I didn't have to go back again. And I said to him, I said, I'm not going to see that purple welcome sign, because we got a big purple sign saying welcome at the front desk. And I said, I'm not looking at that again. I said, I'm done now, fed up. And yeah,
Yeah, cool. You said somewhere that like you have a hard time like knowing in the first place what boundaries are, like where they're supposed to be,
yeah.
and like that of course makes it difficult to respect them. And like, what do you think is the reason for that? That for some people this is obvious, for some people like some of them are obvious, some of them are like really difficult to anticipate, and yeah, for others, I don't know, they understand the culture more thoroughly. Like myself quite puzzled because there seem to be like cultural differences there as well, and kind of wondering like how people pick up on that throughout their maturation process, how they learn
Right.
these things, and why it's more difficult for some to learn them than for others.
I mean, see, I've read up because I did a YouTube video on boundaries recently on my channel, and
Mm.
the thing is with boundaries, I read up, they come from having an internalized like a moral conscience, basically. I don't have any feelings in me that tell me that it's right or wrong to to lie to you, or to take advantage of something, or put you in harm's way. So along with that comes not having not having empathy, not having
Mm.
any awareness of boundaries, or whether I should feel like, or act, or at least act like I feel guilty or sorry about anything. Yeah, I don't really see it
Mm.
until it's pointed out to me, and normally by then it's too late. Um, it's a bit of a hard thing. I've tried to get therapy over it, but nowhere will deal with me. Like
Mhm.
even the hospital that diagnosed me, they've said that they won't have me back because they deem me too high functioning. And obviously, I'm an unemployed student at the moment, so it's not like I can afford private therapy. Um, but
Mhm.
yeah, boundary. They just some I can guess, you know. But I will tend to cross the lines eventually, sooner or later, and that can have repercussions.
Mhm.
I remember when I was 15 and it was after I assaulted another kid in school. I had to have anger management, uh, like therapy. I guess it was. I don't even know really what it was supposed to be. This woman used to visit from like some sort of center and deal with troubled kids and all of that. And like I used to flirt with her. I was a 15-year-old boy. Obviously, like I get now that that wasn't okay, but at the time I was just loving it. And similar things have happened. But yeah, boundaries. I just don't see them to begin with. I don't see boundaries, and also as well because I'm very entitled. So why would there be a boundary if I'm entitled to that anyway?
Mhm. Yeah, but I feel like you're aware of some boundaries that I'm, for example, I didn't used to be aware of until, I don't know, a couple months ago. Like, for example, I always like it when I share some story from my past or something current, and then other people like express sympathy with that or like express some kind of feeling toward that that is basically like a judgment of what they think of that situation. And well, depending on the judgment, if it's something comforting, then I enjoy that. Whereas some friends of mine, and I think probably also you, would rather feel like what patronized by that, or feel like it's like probably your responsibility to judge these situations and not the other person's responsibility. Did I get this right?
Kind of, yeah, in a way. I mean, obviously, like, there's very obvious boundaries that I understand. Yeah, things like I've never been physically abusive towards any like girlfriends, things like that. But it's just more like once you're in my life, then I think like that's it. I sort of like I own you. Like you're more like a possession than an actual person, and then I can just do what I want and play with that.
Hmm.
That's the way it comes across to me.
Yeah, but like this particular boundary about like not wanting, like I'm thinking of the thing that you shared on Facebook, where some university therapist expressed sympathy for something that happened to you in your childhood, and you felt patronized by that. And
Yeah.
I found that very interesting because, like, I wouldn't have had this reaction, but of course I want to like adjust to my friends, like treat them the way that they want to be treated. And so like this is something that seems really important for me to feel out. And then also in the moment to realize, nope, this person wants a different treatment from how I would like to be treated, so I will treat them the way they want to be treated. Yeah, but where do you think this difference comes from between us now in particular?
I'm not really sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Another.
It's I mean, I remember the thing about the therapist, yeah, because I don't like pity being expressed to me. Like I don't really
Mm,
like people feeling sorry for me. Um, it's just because what am I supposed to do? You know
mm,
what I mean? It really doesn't. It just puts me in a situation that irritates me even more. Um, but yeah,
mm,
don't really like pity or anything like that. So that when that therapist said, she said, "Oh, I feel sorry for the child, Dorian," and I just thought like, he's stupid or something. Like, what is that going to do? Um, yeah, it didn't annoy me until later that night. I just kept replaying it in my head,
mm,
and like I really got angry about it. But I mean,
mm.
it's over now. It was just a comment made by another therapist, so that's all it is to me now.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. I'm also wondering about like therapy in general. I think at one point you observed that you like some addiction problems, maybe alcohol or something, like was exacerbated by therapy. And I found that quite interesting in itself, first of all. But then, like, of course, the thing that I'm interested in that is like, what's the mechanism behind that? Like, what happens that there's this effect?
No idea. I absolutely haven't got a clue. But
Mm,
I noticed a very distinct pattern that, like, when I was doing talking therapy with my old probation officer, my drinking spiked. And then again, when I was doing cognitive behavioral therapy with a private psychologist, my drinking spiked again, but there was also drug use on top of it.
hmm
No idea why. I don't know why, but I know it. Excuse me. I know it happens.
Do you think it was more likely something circumstantial that like these practices happened to be next to a bar or something so that like it was easy
No,
to
no.
or
I've never. I'm not mad on going to bars or anything, or pubs as we call them here. But I've always been like the more lonely drinker. More so, I just like I'd rather buy a bottle of whiskey from the shop and then just bring it back here and just be to myself. Um, but no, honestly, the reasoning behind I'm sure there is a reason, but I just don't really know what it was. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting.
Mm,
You mentioned like that you don't like pity or being pitied.
yeah.
Has there ever been like one of these phases where you had like a self-pity type of phase that you like want to leave behind, or has this just never happened?
Self pity. No.
No,
I
never.
mean, because
Okay.
isn't that's like feeling like when you can't feel sorry for anyone, it also means that you can't feel sorry for yourself. No,
hmm
I don't feel sorry about anything that's ever happened to me. Again,
hmm
that's just a waste of time to me.
hmm Yeah, and have you had like phases where you wanted to not have anything to do with society, just isolate yourself somewhere away from people?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Especially when I was younger, when I was 16, I had a very short. I mean, I'm talking 2 3 month little but very strong bout of like severe like what they call major depressive
Mm-hmm.
disorder. So I was extremely withdrawn from everyone with that. It was very noticeable. I was self harming all the time and
Mm-hmm.
not really not eating well. Um, but yeah, that's just. But I mean, in general, it's like I'd rather keep to myself. It's more a preference
Mm-hmm.
than like an absolute want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and what way were you self-harming?
I don't know. I was just really really depressed and down constantly. But I've often heard that it happens in children with like conduct disorder or like ODD. They can often go through it either like an extreme period of depression or anxiety. Like it's not. It's like normally one of the two. And my brain, for whatever reason, just went the depression route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like it was more like I don't know, psychological self-harm in a way and not physical or
I know physical, yeah, physical.
mm-hmm.
I used to steal disposable razor blades and then take them apart with a pair of nail clippers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do have like a completely different section of questions that we can switch to if you like.
I don't mind. I'm happy with whichever
Uh,
questions.
yeah, like the next section of questions is more about like agency and intentionality. And there's wondering, like you already mentioned this case where you like were charged with importing some kind of weapon. I suppose this was this thing that's called lifeguard.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was like a disguisable. It was a handgun, like a disguisable handgun with
Mm.
2 rounds. I think it was 2 or 3 rounds of ammunition, 2 or 3 bullets, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd never heard of that. But like I was curious what like decision making itself feels like for you. Like when you're on Facebook Marketplace and see a life card on offer that's like cheap or something. Like does it more feel like you're like watching yourself make the decision to order that and then maybe have like a memory of like, okay, this seems to have happened? Or do you feel like you are the one making this decision you're choosing?
Yeah, it's me making the decision. It's
Hmm.
just I'll just do really risky things on an impulse quite often. But yeah, especially when I was younger. I mean, again, more so now. I'm very mellowed out, so to speak.
Hmm.
But yeah, but back then things like that, it's not a big thing. It's just an impulse thing, and yeah, I'm the one doing it, and
Hmm.
that's all there is to it.
Yeah, like minor decisions like that, or any kind of random decision that you're making during the day, like whether to get a cup of coffee or of tea or something. Um, what does this feel like, this decision process for you?
Just like normal.
Yeah.
If I want something, then yeah, I'll think of a way to obtain it. So yeah, if I want the coffee, I'll go get the coffee.
Hmm.
It's not a really big thing for me.
Yeah, for some people have apparently this feeling that there's like something in their brains that like sort of discreetly at some point makes the decision to get coffee instead of tea, for example. And for me, it feels more like I weigh like all sorts of factors, like do I feel like drinking matcha now, or do I feel like drinking my espresso now? And simulate what that would feel like and what effects that would have. And then somehow my actions just sort of flow automatically once this process is like sufficiently advanced, flow automatically from that ranking process. And yeah, so those seem like two very distinct ways of like perceiving one's own agency. I don't know which one resonates more with you.
It's more. I don't go through any of that where like just the things in my brain imagine what it'd be like. It's just it's very normal. It's very straightforward, that aspect of me.
Hmm. Yeah. I need to read up on the questions, see like which one's a good fit now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like also about like the agency, like say you did choose the coffee now, and then someone asks you, oh, why did you pick the coffee? Like maybe I don't know, the person is new in the office and wants to know what's good. Um, where would you like go to like figure out why you picked the coffee? Like, would you more like study your past behavior and be like, I seem to be the sort of person who drinks coffee on I don't know, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and today is a Friday? Or would you rather be like, I don't know, I felt a sort of tiredness and the teas here don't have caffeine, and so I wanted to have a coffee?
I would just say that I wanted a coffee and I got it. That,
Uh,
that's not really a that's not really anything to get deep about with me. Like if I see something I want it, I get it. Yeah, it's me doing it. I've got my reasons, and
hmm.
my reason is that I want it.
But is there like a concrete decision that I know, like you decided to close the viewfinder, for example, to save battery. Uh,
Yeah,
um, like the alternative would have been to like sacrifice a bit more battery life and in turn be able to see me. And like if someone were like curious about how you made that decision, like where would you look for the answer?
it's just a logical decision that I had to make because I need to see you and then talk through here. It's just all logic, really.
Hmm. So like the logic first plays out, and then you like make the decision afterwards based
Yeah,
on the data. Uh-huh. Do you sometimes make a different decision than the one? dictated by the logic?
No, not really.
Uh-huh.
I'm a very logical creature.
Um, yeah, cool. Yeah, now I need to like skim some more questions again. Yeah, emotional experience, fear and pain. Oh God, like fear is like a big one for me, and I imagine it's not such a big thing for you.
What do you feel? A lot of fear.
Yeah, throughout my life, it just was just the dominant emotion for me for most of my adolescence, and then it got better. Uh, but yeah, I don't know what your relationship is with fear, whether you've had that.
Very, I mean, proper fear. Very, very minimal. Yeah, not a lot of it. I mean, I remember like even going back to when I was a kid. I think I might have. I think when I was younger, I got a little bit of conditioned into a mild fear, like a mild arachnophobia, because my mother's got a very
Mm,
severe arachnophobia. And I used to always deal like if there was a spider in the house, it would always be me who got it out. But like I can be around spiders now and I'm fine. But
mm,
fear as a whole, no, not really. I mean, I remember another time when I was 15 and I was climbing, I think it was Mount Snowdonia in Wales.
mm,
I'd been with a friend and her mother to climb that mountain, and I nearly slipped off the peak of the mountain. And I can't remember how many hundreds of feet high it is. But yeah, like I nearly fell down the side and it's all icy and there was nothing to grab onto, but my heart rate just didn't change. Nothing happened
mm,
physiologically.
mhm,
You know, I've overdosed multiple times, even before I was 18, and I never. I mean, so there were times where I thought I was going to die, but I was
mhm,
never fearful of it. Like I never had any of that
mhm,
sort of sensation.
mhm,
Or like when I got, or like my last arrest, I was told, you know, I looked up the charges that I'd been charged with for the illegal firearm and the weapons. And even looking at the fact that I was probably, you know, looking to expect 9 to 10 years in prison, it didn't scare me again. It was just like, all right, well, I'll need to do A, B, and C, and X, Y, and Z. You know, I've got all my stuff in my flat packed up. And yeah, I never lost a wink of sleep. I've never ever missed out on sleep over anything.
mhm. Yeah, impressive. Um, like, but you do have certain things like problems with like impulsivity sometimes when it comes to anger, but not with regard to like situations that would like induce fear in other people seem to just leave you completely neutral. But situations that
Yeah,
induce anger
Neut-
are ones that.
neutral or yeah, neutral or you know, my adrenaline might be spiked, but that's not going to stop me from thinking logically about, you know, whatever the situation is and the
Mhm.
best way to handle it. But my anger is definitely my Achilles heel. It's gotten me into some trouble over the years.
Yeah, so imagine like situations that would, for most people, combine both aspects. Like if someone attacks you, for example, then like the average person would probably be afraid of that attack, be afraid of
Mm.
the physical danger and damage that might result from it, and would also be angry because like, who's this person to think that they can attack me? And then I would imagine that you only have the second.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, where I live, it's a very deprived, very high in criminality kind of area.
Hmm.
So I'm always, I mean, I'm always on my guard anyway, because no matter where you are, you have to be. But,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's more the latter for me. No, there'll be no anxiety. It's just adrenaline. Where other people have fear, I just have adrenaline and anger and
Hmm.
a very clear cut and cold mind to look to analyze the situation.
Yeah.
I think the most people I've ever fought in one fight, like on my own, it was 8 lads, like eight. We call them over here like scallies, and just these 8 lads. I think one of them tried throwing something at me, and then I just ran into them, and I just started fighting because I just wasn't going to. Again, it's like you said, the latter part is just like, who does this person think they are?
Yeah.
And I won as well. I never, I'm really the men in my family, especially on my dad's side, we've got a knack for having a good fight. So it's a lot to do with genetics, but pride and ego as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never worry about anything really.
Mhm. Like these situations, the situation that you just described of like almost slipping off some cliff, or mountainside or something. Um, like, was there like a moment of oh shit, I'm gonna die, and then a moment of acceptance or something, or was it just like nothing?
No, it was just not. It was just nothing.
Uh-huh.
Especially because I was wearing these trainers that had like no grip on the ice, and my friend, like, she had a bit of a go at me, and she's like, because I kept on trying to go down, but like right on the edge of the mountain, and yeah, in Wales, and she said to me, she's like, you move away. You've just nearly slipped off and you're going to die. And there's no railings or anything. If you've ever been up there in Snowdonia, you can look at pictures of it. There's just like no safety or anything.
Mhm.
But yeah, it tends to, and it used to annoy the mother of my child. We're no longer together, but my lack of anxiety, fear, genuinely having this I don't care sort of attitude really used to bother her. Obviously, it bothers a lot of people. I might genuinely care about something, but I'm not gonna go into a panic or worry about anything per se.
Mhm.
But yeah, it just a lot of people do not like it. I've learned.
Oh, the hell, I'm probably worried about you. Like when it comes to fear, like I have these two different emotions. One of them is more similar to the phobia, where I feel very like I don't know, there's like certain nervousness and also sort of a reflex to want to, I don't know, run away, cancel the thing that I'm afraid of. I don't know. And then there's like catastrophizing, where like I don't feel anything. Like at one point when I had this catastrophizing type of fear, I like measured my heart rate and it was normal, and I like sort of tried to observe my emotions, and there was like nothing going on that I could notice. But when I thought about doing the thing that I was catastrophizing about, I had like these thousands of thoughts of how this thing would go, could go, might go wrong, and in what ways and how bad it would be. So like these two things seem like they feel different to me. And so I'm wondering whether you only don't have the actual sort of phobic fear type of feeling, or whether you also don't catastrophize.
Or whether I also don't.
Whether
Which
you also
sorry.
don't catastrophize, like also don't have this thing where you like overthink things and come up with like a
Nah,
thousand
yeah, I
solutions.
won't. Yeah, I don't know. I won't overthink too much either. I mean, that's probably just partly because of the there's no fear there in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I'm a very cutthroat, straight to the point, logical kind of a person.
Hmm.
See things for what they are, and then I'll just go from there. But there's no fear or overthinking or over planning, etc. Kind of that's just not me.
Yeah, cool. I've made some progress on the like felt fear, but I think I still do a lot of catastrophizing. Working on that. I almost been wondering about like pain itself, like I suppose with like your recent surgery or something, like whether pain feels like literal suffering for you, that it is something you can deal with, or whether it's more of just like a signal that you can choose to interpret when if you want to.
I mean, I can put up with high amounts of pain. I mean, I won't enjoy it, but it's just something that it's just a part of life, really, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's a signal. I know that, but it's not. Again, it's nothing too deep. If I feel the pain, I'll try and think of ways to minimise it, but I probably won't make as much of a fuss as the average person per se.
Hmm. Does it feel like something that really fills all of your perception when it happens, or is it more like something over there that you can also look away from?
I can ignore it for the most part. It'd have to be really bad for me for it to take over everything I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
even when like when I had appendicitis, I woke up with the pain in the morning, and I didn't go into the emergency room until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I spent the whole day lifting heavy bags and doing shopping. So there's a good example for you.
Yeah, like Jamie also has a similar story from her childhood.
Yeah,
Uh, that yeah, it's very strange to me. That's super interesting. Yeah, oh, I used to have a bouldering partner who also had a similar attitude to that. That was
right.
interesting. Um, yeah, I'll like hop to the next section, and in particular, there are some questions about relationships and attachment, and one of them is like this question about like you mentioned you had a 3 year relationship, and that's probably the mother of your son.
Yeah.
And you said like it was one of these on and off relationships. So I was wondering like what caused the offs, what caused the ons.
Yeah, there was a couple of times where I walked out on it, but I can't even really remember why. It wasn't a. It will have been just like a trivial reason.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, a couple of times. But overall, we were together for like 95% of it. Um, but yeah, it just it is what it is.
Hmm. Do you know your attachment style?
What are they? Do they have names?
Oh yeah, well I can link you a questionnaire. There's my favorite one is the attachment style questionnaire short form, and there are the two dimensions: preoccupied attachment, which is also sometimes called anxious attachment, and avoidant attachment, which is also sometimes called dismissive or dismissive avoidant, or all sorts of variations. Um, and then when someone is like high on both of those, they basically don't have like one distinct attachment style, just sort of chaotically jump between them or something. And that's then called disorganized. And yeah, so when like conflict happens and the person disappears, walks out
Right.
to the other one, then that's sort of something that's associated with avoidant attachment. Like, I don't really need that. No, I don't really need this person. Don't really need this attachment. I don't want to deal with this conflict. And then they are gone for, I don't know, a while or forever. And with preoccupied attachment is more like this. Like great eagerness to try to keep the other person, or also like trying to test the person whether they are actually as securely attached to them as the person hopes they are. Um, and well, yeah, disorganized is just a back and forth between them usually.
I don't really know if I have an attachment style per se.
Depends on the relationship.
No, it's just like none of that really describes me at all. It's like, if I want someone in my life, then I'll, like say a girl, for example. I won't feel attached to her.
Hmm.
So, no, I wouldn't say that I have an attachment style because I don't feel attached to begin with. Um, I'll interact with her in a certain way, but that's about it.
Hmm. And have you tried merging with another person, just sort of adding the person to your identity?
No,
No? Okay. No interest in it either.
no,
Yeah, okay.
no. Like I said, I'm very, I'm very fine with who I am, how I am. If you want to be a part of my life, if you want to merge with my life,
Hmm.
then we can do that. But no, I don't need to merge anyone with my identity. It's mine. So
Uh, um, so you've described intimacy. I don't know exactly where, but like in some of the interviews, probably as a kind of power game, and vulnerability as like a dangerous weakness in that power game. Like, where does that come from, and what does it feel like when someone gets like emotionally close to you for that to feel threatening like that, dangerous?
hmm. If somebody gets, do you mean so when you say emotionally close, do you mean that they understand me more, or they trust in me more to like tell me how they're feeling more often?
Oh, like I don't know. Like I would imagine that. you probably don't feel any kind of vulnerability or threat from me right now that we're doing this interview.
Yeah,
And
right.
then I would imagine that in some relationships, when they're like, I don't know, close enough in whatever sense, that probably does start happening, that there's like something where you do feel like that is a risk. So I would imagine that those are just the ones that are close enough.
Oh, I'd have to say no. I don't think I've ever been through it like that. So no,
Hmm.
I'd say no.
Hmm. And also, like, hypothetically, that's is that something that you worry might happen, or
No.
no? Okay. Yeah, cool. Um, there was also like some kind of story of a recurring dream of meeting some idealized woman and a doorway, and this doorway like keeps shrinking, like
Yeah,
as if like you can't really fit through it anymore, or she can't, or I don't know. Can you describe that dream and what you've made of it, what you think it represents when it comes to connection and attachment?
yeah. The dream. It wasn't a recurring dream. It was just this dream that I had once,
Okay.
and I I had this. I think I had this house that I lived in, and I went on holiday with. I went on holiday on my own, and I met this girl at the hotel, and she had like this gorgeous red hair, and like really nice girl, like fiery red hair, and we kept having to go to this other room in the hotel, but like you said, the doorway kept shrinking every time, and then eventually it got to the point where the girl said, "Oh, I can't fit through the door anymore. You'll have to stop." And so we leave the hotel and we make our way back home. Like she's going to come and live with me, and I end up losing her at the airport. But then we find each other again and we go home. And right at the end of the dream, you know, we're at my house and we're talking about how we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. But in the dream, when I turn around, the front door is like, or the back door is wide open. And at that moment in the dream, my heart rate spiked, and I woke up. Um, I almost woke up like ready to fight. Like I was just filled with again like just intense adrenaline. Um, but I think what the dream meant was that the doorway represented. I worded it in a certain way. I'll think of it. But the doorway represented the like my emotional capacity, or being or my expectations, and like the girl couldn't fit. The girl wasn't emotionally compatible or something, or she couldn't meet my expectations in a partner. And I think the back door, or the door to the house being open, that freaked me out. Um, it could have represented like emotional vulnerability. I mean, that's my take on it. Uh,
Mm,
there's definitely something to do with my attachment style with women, if I have one.
mm. Yeah, so the first one was about like her being able to get to you or vice versa, and the second one was probably about like not her getting out through the back door, but someone coming in through the back door.
No, there was no one coming in. It was just me and her, no one else.
Hmm. Okay. Um, yeah, like what would like a successful relationship with that woman or someone else look like for you? And like what would like be the like give and take in that relationship? Like what sort of needs would you like to have met, and what would you be able to give in return in such a relationship?
Well, for me, you know, I'm a date to marry kind of a guy. You know, I want to be married and all of
Mm,
that. I mean, I want to be a successful doctor. You know, if she wants kids, that's fine. I mean, I know I already have a son, but if she wants another couple of kids, then you know, who am I to say no? Um, very, very traditionalist and conservative. Like that'd be my ideal marriage, and somebody who's with somebody who's accepting of who I am,
Hmm.
and it's just a girl who can be with somebody, be with a guy who can't feel sorry for her, but can still make her laugh and things like that.
Yeah. So you'd be like the breadwinner in that relationship, and
Yeah,
I don't know, what would be her role?
I mean, primarily, chiefly, housewife, stay-at-home mother. But
Hmm.
if we both want to do things in the community, things like that, or she gets a job or a business, then that's fine. As long as everything else is taken care of.
Hmm. Yeah, like if she has a big business, then both of you can provide financially for like your son, for example, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first, you've got to go out with the girl. So I don't think it'll be happening anytime soon. But
Hmm.
um, but yeah, that's in an ideal world. Yeah.
Hmm. Why not anytime soon?
Mm. I'm very overall. I'm very avoidant when it comes to women.
Mhm.
I get very paranoid, and
Mhm.
so I'll tend to keep my distance. It's like my last girlfriend who I was with. She basically had to crowbar her way into my life to be with me. That kind
Mhm.
of gives you the idea. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they say you can meet anyone at any second. So if it happens, it happens.
Hmm. Yeah, what is the like? Is there some kind of worry behind that that makes you avoidant?
Yeah, yeah. It's because I realized I kind of did it to myself, but I realized one day that I think somebody said to me, I think it was a therapist, but I eventually realized that if you've got to have a successful relationship, you've got to compromise and you've got to supersede a bit of control. And yeah, I don't like the idea of that, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm willing to work on it with the right person.
Yeah, makes sense. Is it more about like like what sorts of control are the ones that would be like both likely and difficult to compromise on?
Could be anything. Could be all matters, big and small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when it comes to like, I think there was like a story on Facebook about romantic rejection, and well, that's also like kind of difficult for everyone, I suppose.
Mhm.
Um, what does that feel like for you?
Romantic rejection.
Yeah,
Uh, it'll hurt my ego. I'll go through what most people would call narcissistic injury.
yeah,
It's a very that's a very big ego wound for me,
hmm,
um, which is really weird, especially when you don't feel attached to anyone. But
hmm,
yeah, but it's more a pride thing than anything. Yeah, very big fear of being rejected. Yeah. I mean, fear is not the right word, but I'm just that's the word I'm using. But very, very paranoid or fearful of rejection. Uh,
hmm.
I have some borderline traits as well, so that they can play up a little bit. It's just one of them.
Yeah. And what makes that so much more difficult than, I don't know, job rejection or something?
Job rejection, I won't care. It only occurs with
Hmm.
romantic rejection.
Yeah, but what is the difference between them? Like, if it's a job that you really wanted, and then you get a rejection, I imagine that's not such a big deal.
It won't be no, it won't be as much of a big deal now.
Uh, yeah, can you tell like what like the features are of these types of rejections that make one so painful and the other one not?
Well, one's just a job, but the other's like the other's a girl that you really like. So the apples and
Mhm.
oranges.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, like I could feel like some self-image injuries from from either of those. So I suppose some people are more sensitive to that. Oh, like people are also different, also sensitive about that for different reasons, and they're like all sorts of possibilities, like whether it's about like losing access to something, like not getting some needs met, or whether it's about feeling unworthy or flawed, or whether it's about losing control in some situation, or lots of other things. Do any of these resonate, or what do you think is the thing that causes it?
I don't really know what. Again, I don't know the mechanics too much behind it, but I just know that that's the way it is.
Yeah, yeah, it would be interesting to figure out like yeah, exactly those mechanics behind it. I'm like a
Mm.
big fan of understanding those.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like when when that happens and like you do suffer some kind of romantic rejection, like do you then pine more for the other person afterwards? Like think about them and think about like how much you have would have wanted to be close to them or something? Or is it more about yourself and like what it means for you?
It's more about myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine that's probably, I don't know, less the borderline side.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh, yeah, like what borderline traits did you notice though?
I can tend to. I mean, I can tend to split quite easily on people. I can in some episodes I can have very a very rapid change in emotion. Again, like suddenly it's more normally it's
Mm,
the case of suddenly going from calm to absolutely furious, and but then once everything's calmed down, I'll sort of just calm down straight away. So
mm,
I'll be fine like within seconds. It's really weird, but it's just the way.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting. When it comes to the splitting, is that more something that happens for an hour or a day or a week or so, or is it like permanent usually when it happens?
it's usually more permanent.
Mm, yeah, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't associate that so much with borderline, much more with NPD.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting. Well, like another one of when I don't know, like a judge passes some kind of judgment against you, like that's also kind of rejection in a way, right? That's probably also not something that resonates in the same way as a romantic rejection.
No, I mean when a judge sentences you, it's not rejection. That's just unfortunately you broke the law and you got caught.
Uh,
It's just an unfortunate consequence of life.
mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Um, yeah, what is your relationship with your son like? You've like told me a bit about your play fighting already, and I
Yeah.
don't know, elaborate some more on what that relationship feels like and what you do when you're together.
Uh, he's a very. I mean, he's a young boy, and he's the spitting image of me. So my son is like a little extension of me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I do really. I don't feel deeply bonded to him, but
Mm-hmm.
I do really care about him. I always pay his child support on time. I have him every weekend. We're always doing days out, things like that. Or sometimes if he'll just want to stay at home and like he's got an Xbox here, he uses that, and yeah, it's just we used to always have good times. I let him bounce up and down on the sofa, which he's not allowed to do with his mum's. Uh, yeah, it's probably the only. It's really probably the only fully transparent and healthy relationship that I've got in my life.
Hmm. To the extent that like he's an extension of you, like has there ever been a person like a partner or I don't know who's felt similar in that sense?
No, no, just my son.
Uh-huh, no one else ever. That's interesting. Like, does that mean that you like that his actions reflect like that it feels like his actions reflect on you in some fashion, or his achievements, or uh,
Mm, they can do in a way. He's very. I mean, personality wise, he's the complete opposite of me. His mother has always called. His mother's always said about our son that he's the nice version of dad. He looks like dad, but he's actually nice, and he actually shows that he cares. Yeah, I don't mind.
He doesn't have that swinging brick.
No, no, oh no, no. Yeah,
Where does that metaphor come from? Like, what's the metaphor again? Like you have a swinging brick where your heart should be or something?
yeah. That's another thing his mother said years
Mm,
ago. Like this is all way before I was diagnosed. I didn't get
yeah.
diagnosed with ASPD until like a year or two after we'd split up. So yeah, it's just something that she said to me one day. I can't remember like what it was that triggered it, but it's just a phrase that she said, and it stuck with me.
Yeah, that would have been my next question. Like, it's so specific. Like, why is it swinging? And
Yeah,
we'll never find out.
nah.
Um, yeah, like I think what would it feel like for you if your son showed like similar behaviors that you probably showed around, well, maybe not that age, but like a little bit older. Um, what would that feel like for you? And like, yeah, in particular that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't feel. I wouldn't feel deeply about it. I'd probably get him. Well, his mother would probably get him referred to a child psychologist and go
Mm,
from there. But
mm.
yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about it or anything.
Yeah. Well, this is a bit of a ties in a bit with the glass box thing, but like some friends of mine describe the how they feel about their role in the world, sort of like a video game where they are the well, they sort of control an avatar. They control some kind of player character that's like running around in the world and completing some quests. And all around them are like all sorts of NPCs they can interact with, they can like manipulate in some fashion. And that makes like virtually everyone in that world feel very unreal to them. Just sort of, yeah, like NPCs basically. And also like anything that happens in the game is like really removed from them. So they
Yeah,
feel like it's if like the character is injured or dies or something, there's like this health bar that goes down a bit, and it's just really far removed from who they actually are. And but they have some exceptions to that. Like usually they have like a dog and children and a husband or something, and these are like characters that feel much more real to them, and perhaps also a few friends. And so I was wondering, like, first of all, do you like, does that resonate with you at all? And secondly, does your son feel like one of these different characters that feels who feels like different from other people?
yes, and yes. I'd say both of those are true, but yeah, especially like when you're a child, it's sort of like when you've got psychopathy, it's like you're kind of like you just don't really develop any emotional intelligence or really much. I mean, you can think about the consequences of actions and words, but you don't feel them deeply, so you don't feel the world around you deeply. But it's a good way of describing it. Yeah, you're just running around causing chaos, and
Mm.
you'll always reset to the next day.
Yeah, and imagine what is probably decreased is like this how removed you feel from your avatar, right?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just me. I'm not necessarily removed from myself. It's,
Yeah,
it's
like
just
not
the world
anymore.
around me and other
Mm.
people in it.
Yeah, you described earlier that you've sort of grown into yourself, so I imagine that like you probably were
Yeah,
more removed previously from your avatar, and now you're more like in there.
yeah,
Yeah. And like this has had no effect on most other people, on like how they feel to you.
yeah. Not really. I mean, I keep to myself for the most part,
Hmm.
but like people at uni are really nice. Like I like my classmates.
Hmm. Yeah, I imagine that's a contrast to the factory job. Well,
Yeah,
with some exceptions. Yeah, like I was also wondering, like there are all these attributes like being seen as like bad or dangerous or something, as opposed to being seen as weak or out of control. And there are some people who, like, intentionally, in order not to seem bad, will claim to not have been in control. And other people who, in order to not be seen as out of control, will claim to have been bad intentionally or something. Um, does that make sense to you? And do you see
Yeah.
yourself in one of those?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've more. I mean, I've kind of been described as both in a way. You know, Dorian's out of control, and he's therefore he's being really bad. Um, but I don't mind. It's just the way somebody else sees me. So
Mm. How do
I
you
can get
prefer
on
to
with
see
it.
yourself?
I mean, I'd say from an outside perspective, I'd say I'm a very put together. Um, again, put together, prioritized individual. Um, I'm doing well in life. I'm managing my money better. My financially, I'm better off, and yeah, I'm on a good trajectory. I can have my moments, sure, where I lose my temper, but like I said before, it kind of ties into what we talked about before, where I just try and keep out of certain situations or keep away from a certain type of person who's going to annoy me, and that seems to be working just well.
Hmm. Yeah. Can I like make a return to your childhood? Because we were
Yeah,
just talking about your son. It would have been like such a great segue, but no, question we're in the wrong order.
that's fine.
Um, like you mentioned at some point that you have some kind of childhood amnesia. So I was wondering like which years, or like maybe it depends on the context and like what exactly is lost there.
It's really like probably 90% of everything from being newborn right through to like 17, 18. I just don't really,
Hmm.
I just don't, honestly, I don't care about my childhood really that much at all. I mean, it's in
Hmm.
the past, it's gone, it's done. It is what it is.
Yeah. Like, did you change a lot afterwards, and that's why like the new version can't get access to those old memories anymore? Or what do you think happened there?
I mean, I'd say in some ways I'm a lot different than from when I was as a kid. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's not something that I really think deeply about because I just don't need to. It doesn't really
Hmm.
benefit me.
Yeah, did this childhood amnesia start like right at age 19 or so, up to 18? Or is it more like that years later you notice that you're having more and more trouble recalling those memories?
I'll have just noticed like years later, I think. But I mean,
Hmm.
again, like I say, it's just not something that's on my mind. I'm more like I don't live in the past or the future. I just live in the now. I'm always in the present, and that's just always the way I've been.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you think that would also be the case, like, if something, like some kind of hardship should befall you, like, I don't know, some long prison sentence or something, that you would also just, like, what would that feel like? I think you mentioned that you actually had the suspicion at one point that you might go to prison for some 9 years or so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't feel anything. It didn't feel. I've never been scared of it, but the thing is, with prison in this country, at least, they're always on like 22, 23 hour bang up, and the thing that's motivating me to stay out of prison is the boredom and the paranoia that I'd feel whilst I'm in there. I just know
Mhm.
that it wouldn't be good for me. I'd just I'd go on a mad one essentially, and
Hmm.
probably never get out. I'd be lucky if I did, but
Hmm.
yeah, they're very solitary and very driving in terms of making people paranoid, depressed.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'd get depressed, but definitely paranoid.
Hmm.
You can't ever really relax in there, can you? But and it's just
Hmm.
like again, not you can't really be the best version of yourself in that kind of place.
Yeah. A friend of mine also said that prison would be so boring for her that she would just start fights all the time that would make the
Yeah,
sentence longer and longer, and then she wouldn't be able to get out anymore.
yeah. That's exactly. Yeah, my dad. I think my dad or my baby's mother has said the same about me. They said you just be starting fights all the time or stabbing people because of how pent up you'd be. And I go, yeah. So
Hmm.
I've always got to keep myself stimulated or engaged with something.
Yeah, tricky.
Mm.
Yeah, like I was also curious. I don't know if this ties in with this at all, but like Jamie describes this very interesting no self state or anatta state where she basically did not used to identify before like 10 years of therapy and training, did not used to identify with like what I, from the outside, would describe as herself. Like,
Right.
I of course see like Jamie there, and I have like my selfhood that I've probably developed in the first 2 years of my life. And so I just sort of project that if I feel like a person, like a separate person who has my particular perspective on the world, and feel that like I'm allowed to manipulate this body and I'm not allowed to manipulate the other bodies, and that's sort of intuitive to me. That's also intuitive for others. And then I run into people who are like, no, actually, I don't really identify with my own body.
Right.
And yeah, so I found that super interesting to like hear about and ask her questions about. And I would imagine like you probably don't have like quite the same experience, right?
No, I mean, not. I wouldn't say so. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you have like your particular perspective on the world. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, but like, I know, is there something that like when you talk with Jamie about that resonates about like how you perceive the world or how you perceive yourselves in the world and relationship to the world?
I mean, my relationship to the world is that it's kind of like it's my world, but you're all just in it.
Hmm.
That's kind of that's the closest or best way for me to describe it. But
Yeah, so like a
yeah,
very
it's just
clear
kind of like a
distinction.
playground, really. Go nuts.
Hmm. Yeah, so a very, very clear distinction between yourself and others. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, is there like anything else where like you and Jamie actually sort of differ in your opinions or takes?
Um, I mean, I can't think of any particular like. There's no exact opinions that stick out, but we're very. Me and Jamie are very similar, but also very the same. I mean, very different, but very the same. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
on some things we're worlds apart. On other things we're not, but probably about I'd say about an even mix, a 50-50 on that.
Hmm. Yeah, like in Jamie's Discord server, what would you say is like the ratio of people who are more like Jamie and the ratio of people who are more like you versus the ratio of people who are like just different in some other way?
Everyone's different in their own way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So like
I
all you basically can feel sort of kinship with everyone to a similar extent?
mean, it's just I wouldn't say feel kinship or friendship. It's just a place where all different people come to chat.
Hmm. Yeah. Have a few like light closing outro questions, if you like.
Okay.
So, like one thing that came up is like what the funniest thing is that actually happened to you because of how your brain works.
Yeah. Funny. I mean, I've got one. I remember one time. I don't. I think I know a couple of people laughed. I just talked about it in Jamie's Discord server, ironically. To me at the time, it wasn't very funny, but now I can kind of look back on it and laugh. What happened was I was getting ready to have my son over on the weekend. I think it was like a Friday afternoon, and I was making the bed, getting his pajamas ready, and just getting everything ready for my kid. And I looked out. I was in my bedroom and I was changing the sheets, and I remember it quite well. actually, and I'd looked out of my bedroom window, and in my front yard where I live, there was just like a young male. I mean, maybe he was about he could have been like in his early 20s to like a sort of like 18-year-old. There was a young male with like a balaclava over his face and his hood up. Obviously, and my neighbor at the time who lived above me, he was like a 50-year-old African, like, he was, so I knew it wasn't him. And I opened the window and I shouted down at the guy and I said, what are you doing in my yard? And he swore at me. He always said, what's it got to do with you? And he swore at me. So immediately I saw red, and I was wearing my socks and black boxer shorts. And I grabbed this. I used to have this hunting knife. It was like a big, large, like a Rambo knife. Not exactly like the one in the Rambo, but like that. Big silver hunting knife it was. And I pulled that out of my bedside unit, and I put my boots on, and I just ran outside half naked. And as soon as I opened the door, this guy saw me, and he ran out. And I ran. You know what? I was trying to get him, honestly. This was years ago. It wasn't too long after I moved in, actually. But yeah, I was completely, again, like we talked about before. It's one of the few good things about having psychopathy. You're not fearful. You're not afraid. You're not overthinking. You're not procrastinating. You see a threat and you extinguish it one way or the other. And honestly, I'm glad in a way that he got away, because imagine if I'd have got a hold on it of him, I could have been doing a life sentence. But I just wanted to, I absolutely just wanted to get him and just hurt him, because not more so for the fact that he was in my yard to begin with, because we have, again, like I said, it's a high crime area around here. So he was probably looking to, like, seeing if it was a place he could break into or do a burglary. And we have locks on the doors and everything, and security lights, alarms, what have you, after that. But yeah, I ran out. I chased the guy off, and as I turned to go back in, like, because the door was open, this woman was like about 10 feet away, and she saw me, and she must have seen what had happened. So I just turned to her and I just went. I just backed into the garden, and I never got done for it. So. But yeah, that's one. There's probably loads of other funny things. Like I said, nearly falling down the side of Snowdonia, and it gets that. But yeah, to me, it's all very mundane. So I kind of have to think, oh, what would be funny to someone else who isn't like me? Because to me, it's not funny. But yeah, that's one. I'm sure there's loads of others. Again, there's this, like, getting the detective to shake my hand through my cell door, just to sort of get a sense of power over him. And I've probably done the other time as well. This is one that I don't remember, but she's the mother of my child told me about it last year. There was a time we were, when we were together and we were living together, and I'd been into town to go to some shop, and I got an argument. She said that I come back to the house really angry, and I'd been in an argument with somebody who owned a local business in the area at the time, and she said to me that later on in the evening, like, my anger had sort of simmered, but it never went away. And I said to her at the time, I'm gonna burn down that guy's shop. I'm just going to blow it up right now. And I mean, like, how many guys have said that and then done nothing, She thought that it was just me being angry and, just more talk. But when she saw me start to get my boots on, I put my boots on and I got my jacket. She panicked inside. She was like, oh my God. She was like, he's actually going to go out and do this. And so what she did, because I think she'd figured it out by then, that something was not right with me, because it was quite into the relationship. And so what she did to stop me from going out and blowing this guy's shop up was she had sex with me, and it worked because we went upstairs and did the dance of two people, and she said I made sure that when you woke up that there was like a big a hot meal, a roast dinner ready for you for when you woke up. And she said you just woke up and ate your dinner like you just hadn't really gone out to go and kill somebody. And yeah, and I've got actually no memory or recollection of it. I just know what she's told me about it. But she was like terrified. She said her stomach was in bits and she just didn't know what to do. So, well, that's what she did.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, arson is like such a common first reaction to
Yeah,
insult from people with psychopathy. Like, yeah, that's very plausible.
yeah.
This big knife, is that one that you still have, or did the police take that when they also found the lifeguard?
No, it
The
was
evidence?
illegal. It wasn't that knife wasn't an illegal weapon. It was just a normal, like a fixed blade hunting knife. You know, the
Oh,
blade doesn't
okay.
go in and out. It's just a fixed blade. But it was a really cheap knife, and I think I was cutting weeds with it or something. I was doing
Mm.
gardening with it, and it just snapped. So it went in the bin. But
Mm.
it is what it is. But
Yeah, that's the first thing I was lying around, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm sure I've done loads of other daft, crazy things, especially as a kid, like 16, 15, 16, 17 years old. Um, but I just probably won't care to remember half of what I've done
Mm.
because it's just another day. But now I'm a lot more reserved and mature.
Mm.
And my dad has said to me, he said, I've seen a big difference in you slowly over the years. He goes, he goes, so don't worry about you as much. He goes, I don't always think, oh, he's going to get nicked, or you know what I mean?
Mm.
He goes, you're at university now. And he says, yeah, we can tell you care about that. So, yeah, just staying in
Yeah.
things that are good and interesting for me. That's how I'd end things on here, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose like caring about something also means having something to lose, and then that
Yeah,
also like has flow through effects for other areas of life.
right, yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was wondering like what advice you'd have for like a say 15-year-old version of you if I don't know, this interview goes back in time somehow.
If I was 15, I'd just say I'd say do more. I'd say do more. Go for even more, because like yeah, that's what I'd say. I'd say go for it, kid.
And what is more? Just more of anything, or if,
More of anything. Just do what you want. Just go out and do more.
all
Go
right.
harder.
And I was also wondering like whether there's anything in particular that you like actually enjoy. So I would imagine that like control and winning and such are like pleasurable, or I don't know, but like
Yeah.
uh
Feeling,
are
yeah,
there
I'd
also
say
things that
feeling. I don't work. See, I don't work towards like, am I happy or am I feeling happy? The way I do things, it's like, am I content? Am I satisfied with the way
Mhm.
everything is at the moment? But I do genuinely enjoy the time that I spend with my son.
Mhm.
I'm really trying to. I've trained him up to be really good at fighting. He's only 5 years old, but he throws a hell of a left hook now, and he's an extension of me. And I think like any healthy man likes to be a good dad, and that's one thing I enjoy. I enjoy my studies as well. I like doing my assignments at university, writing academically, and I like going. I like going there as well, because like school for me when I was a kid, especially secondary school, it was like prison. It was horrible. in a lot of
Mm.
ways. In fact, they even had bars on the windows in my old secondary school.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a great place, but so now I'm sort of
Mm.
getting to relive going to school, but it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Mm.
So yeah, I enjoy going to uni, and just again staying on the straight and narrow, and yeah,
Yeah, that also made a huge difference for me between high school, where I was also forced to go there and be on the property during certain hours, and I don't know, and
yeah.
university, where I actually chose to go and wanted to be. Yeah, made a huge difference. Yeah, finally, like, is there anything that you wish people like me would ask you, but they never do? Uh,
Uh, not really. Not in the terms, not in that particular terminology. But I wish everybody would stop thinking that we're all serial murderers and sex
mm,
offenders. Maybe just get away from those Netflix dramas and TikTok and all the myths, and open a textbook once in a while. You just look at some actual information on people with psychopathy, or
mm,
maybe listen to us a bit more. That's what I'd say. But yeah, I've had a fair few interesting questions posed to me already on my YouTube channel. So they're a good bunch. I think we're nearly at 140 subscribers now.
mm.
So that's going really well. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions for me, by the way, you can comment them down below on here, or just go over to my channel and ask me on there. I really don't mind. I'll be taking a look at both either way.
Yeah, cool. I'll link the channel in the description, and you probably do like FAQ videos from time to time where you answer them.
I've done one. I
Mm.
did my first one,
Yeah,
a
cool.
comments reaction, but I like doing them because they're really easy. And I started getting it. The thing is, though, I started getting it in my comment section. Somebody had asked a question, and then another person replied, "Oh, he doesn't bother replying to his comments," so I had to reply to that and say, "No, I am. I'll just do it in video form," but
Mm.
which I like to do. It's just better that way, isn't it?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And you get a cool new video out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be cool that, like, I know, you probably also have some other video ideas that I can let you know of, maybe in the comment section. Would be like, yeah, interesting to have a few more videos on like specific topics that are relevant to your life.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but that's all. That was all of my questions. Thank you so much.
Great, they were really good. Thank you very much for having me on, Dawn. I appreciate the offer and the invite. I know we were supposed to do this last week, but we had technical difficulties. But we've cracked the matrix now, so we're back. And
Yeah,
yeah, thanks for
cool.
having me on. Everybody, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out my channel. The link to that will be in the description below. And before you subscribe to me, though, make sure that you're already subscribed to Dawn
Yeah.
here. And we'll both see you later in the future. So, Dawn, thank you for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, and arrivederci.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye and like and
Goodbye.
subscribe.
Bye.